Welcome back, friends. Today, I'm going to do a video on, and probably help if I didn't talk with pipe in my mouth, on straights and billiards, those types of pipes. And then I'm going to do one later on bents. I personally like straights the best. They're probably my favorite types of pipes. Kids are all running around out there playing, so you might hear them in the background. But before we get to the meat and potatoes of this video, what do we have here? The pipe smoking quiz book. All right, the trivia question that I gave you in the last video was, what is the only James Bond film in which James Bond smokes a pipe? The answer is On Her Majesty's Secret Service, the only Bond film that George Lazenby stars in. I'm not sure what the reason behind that is. I think Lazenby was more of a stage actor than a film actor, but I can't be 100% sure. I'm not that familiar with British cinema. I do have a subscription to BritBox, which there's some amazing shows on there, but I'm not that familiar with it. So anyway, there's your answer, and stay tuned at the end of the video for the next question. When I was first introduced to pipe smoking, it was straight pipes that I was introduced to. And it was at the end, I was a child, probably 8 or 9. And my dad let me sit down and watch The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance with him. And, good John Wayne movie. Well, at the end, Jimmy Stewart is on a train headed back to the East Coast because he's a senator, and he's got a straight billiard in his mouth on the train, and he's smoking, and he's talking to the train car guy. It's not the conductor, but it's the guy who goes back and checks and makes sure your tickets are good and stuff like that. I'm not sure what they're called, but he's talking to him, and he's like, oh, we gotta 1 or 2 stops, or when are we gonna be in the East Coast? And he says, oh, at the end he goes, well, anything for the man who shot Liberty Valance. And he kind of looks down and sad, and pulls his pipe out of his mouth slowly and just gets that 1,000-yard stare, and it's because he wasn't the man who shot Liberty Valance. But nobody knew that except for him and I believe his wife. I believe it was because his friend, played by John Wayne, was the only one he was the only one John Wayne told that to. So everybody thought he shot him, and that's how he actually became senator and got elected, was taking down Liberty Valance. So anyway, that's how I got introduced to pipe smoking, was that. And then, of course, as I got older, Sherlock Holmes, started seeing the bent pipes, and it was, for some reason, though, that scene where he's on the train and he takes a pipe out of his mouth and you could see the ash in the top of it, that just resonates with me, and it has. And so I've always found billiards and straights to be my favorite. In fact, my first was a Dr. Graybo billiard that I got when I was, it was 10, 15 years ago, something like that. And I dabbled in pipe smoking a little bit in my early 20s, and then I did it again in my mid to late 20s. Now I'm in my late 30s, and I'm dabbling again in pipe smoking. But it was a billiard. It was a Dr. Graybo billiard, and it was a very cheap. It was like $10 or something. And I got some drugstore tobacco, not knowing anything about tobacco, and I don't even think it was as good as Captain Black. I think it was like cigarette rolling tobacco, and I was trying to learn how to smoke a pipe, and it was gross. I just remember not liking the taste of it, but I was like, you know what? If this is what my heroes in these movies did, then this is what I'm gonna do. So, yeah, my heroes being of the Western genre, all the old time guys, Clark Gable being one of them from Gone with the Wind. So, anyway, I was I've always been attracted to this style pipe. And this billiard that I'm smoking is a Rossi Serra. I got it at my local pipe shop. It's a rusticated style, brown, because I didn't really have any, well, I had this other rusticated brown pipe, which was a Savinelli, and that's a slight bend, but I still consider this more of a straight. Anything that's like this, where it's just a tiny bend, I still consider it a straight pipe, so that's another one of my straights there. And I love them. I love this. It's kind of a pot or billiard shape. I'm not even sure what you would call that, a poker shape, but it's not as short as a poker. But that's a really good pipe. That's one of my English pipes. So anyway, in this, I'm just smoking some Captain Black straight. I figured it was appropriate because we're talking about the past and where we start, and most of us kind of start with Captain Black or Lane 1Q or, you know, something like that. I think, you know, either that or Carter Hall. But anyway, so I also have down here, this is another one I just picked up. And if you guys remember that small Mayan pipe that I got, it's also a straight, it's actually right here. This small straight Mayan. I don't know if you can call this a billiard. I'm not exactly sure because it's so small compared to the other pipe. But yeah, but I love this pipe. This pipe's great. Very small bowl, very good for quick smokes. Like if you're on a break at work, that's a perfect pipe for that. But this is also a Mayan, and I got it for $55 out of the, what do they call it? The bulk bin at my local tobacconist, or bin pipe is what they call it, but it's really nice. I was actually smoking this today. These are my two billiards that I use with aromatics. And then of course, you know, my Savinelli 9606 that I use with aromatics only for Lane 1Q. If you watch my Lane 1Q video, you will see that, and that's a bent. But I use these two for aromatics, and yeah, they both smoke great. This one, for 55 bucks, this thing smokes like a dream. It smokes almost as good as this Savinelli Rossi right here. Now, like I said, oh, you know what? I'll get to that in a minute. This is another one of my straight billiards, and this is an Ehrlich, and it was a pipe that I got from the local pipe shop that was a estate pipe, and I got it for 70 bucks. And this thing is probably the best smoking pipe that I own. It is absolutely amazing, breathes very well, smokes very well. The ash evenly smokes all the way around it every single time. Probably the best pipe I've got, and I love it. $70, but it's an Ehrlich. I think this one was made in the 60s or 70s, and yeah. And then this I also consider more of a straight, even though it's a bent. It's a Prince, and this is a Rossi Rubino Antico. I still consider it more of a straight because you see how straight it is. It's got a slight bend there at the end. It's pretty much a straight to me, and I love this pipe. Any of these Rossis that I smoke are amazing, amazing pipes. They smoke just as good as Savinelli's, but they are half the price. So anyway, this is probably my second favorite smoking pipe, and this is a Prince. But yeah, beautiful pipe. And I got that one for 75 or 85. I can't remember, at the local pipe shop. At my local pipe shop, the Rossis that are rusticated are $10 cheaper than the smooth Rossis. I'm not sure if that's the same everywhere, but it's definitely at my local pipe shop. So anyway, and then that Ehrlich and that Prince and this Savinelli, I want to say it's a 311. Was this Estrella? Oh, it's a 310. I apologize, 310. It's those are all my English straights. So anyway, that's my straight pipes that I smoke, and I will go through and give you guys a tour of the bent pipes that I smoke at some point, but you know, I heard somewhere somebody once say, bent pipes are for the working man, straight pipes are for dandies. I'm not really sure, because I can sit and hold a straight pipe in my mouth all day and talk to you all day and work on anything. Sure, it kind of gets in the way of your eyesight, and I think that's what they're talking about is a bent pipe. It's down here. You can look straight and see over the top of it. But here, you look even down a little bit and it gets right in your eyesight. So it's probably what they're talking about, you know, if you're making like a project or something or you're working. But I can just hold this all day and I have no problem. As where like a bent, like this Portofino, I can hold it, but it's really heavy and it feels, I don't know, it feels like you can't move to like talk to somebody or, you know, like if you're trying to work construction or whatever. And look how big that bowl is compared to this straight billiard. I mean, it's like the bowl, not the bowl itself, you know, but I'm talking about just the size of it. This is light. It's easy. I can have a conversation. Not the greatest conversation, but it's not awful. So I love straight pipes. I don't really consider bent pipes for work or straight pipes for dandies kind of a thing. I think whatever pipe you want to smoke is a pipe you want to smoke, but people have their scruples. So, but, oh, anyway, story time. So I'm out hiking with my kids today, and I'm smoking my pipe as I'm hiking, which I like to do. I like to smoke while I'm outside, and you know, I keep my kids, you know, downwind of the smoke, and even though we're outside, I like to do that. But I was smoking this new Mayan pipe that I just got, this billiard, and I'm smoking what was it? Cornell and Deal's Autumn Evening. And I'm not the biggest fan of it. Like, it's really good for the first like quarter of the bowl, and then the topping kind of wears off really quick, and then it just kind of tastes like smoke and maybe a little earthy tobacco. It's not super great, but you know, I do like a lot of stuff from Cornell and Deal, so I'm not dogging on them. But I've always had a problem with that Autumn Evening maple flavored tobacco. It doesn't hold my interest like others do, like Tom Bigby. Man, that's probably the best. That snickerdoodle cookie is amazing. But anyway, I'm getting off track. ADD brain. So I'm walking, you know, I got my pipe in my mouth, and two things are happening. One, I'm getting looks from the younger people like this, because I have no hat on, so you can see all my tattoos. I'm just sitting like this, and I'm just walking with my kids with this pipe in my mouth, right? And people my age don't normally smoke pipes. It's getting more popular, but they don't normally smoke pipes. Talk to Get Piped about that one. He'll tell you, it's interesting to see 20s and 30s somethings have pipes in their mouths. And the other thing I get is the older people, like the 50s, 60s age people, they're kind of like doing that, where they're like, yeah, that's cool, you know, because they remember the era where almost everybody smoked pipes. My kids and I get to this boulder. We're walking on the trail, and we get up to this huge boulder. It's probably like half a story high, something like that. And the kids are like, yeah, I want to climb on that. So I'm like, cool, right on, go ahead, go have fun, right? So I'm standing there and I'm smoking, and this lady comes up the trail behind us, and she goes, oh, mystery solved. And I was like, what are you talking about? This lady looked like she was about 70. And she goes, I thought I smelled pipe tobacco on the trail. I was going, man, it smells like pipe tobacco out here. It smells really good. What is that tree that smells like pipe tobacco? And then she came up and saw me and she was like, oh, it's you. And I said, yeah, I'm smoking a maple flavored pipe tobacco. And she says, it reminds me of my grandfather when I was their age. And she points at my kids. And I said, I think a lot of us have a story like that. We remember something from our relatives when we smell, pipe tobacco or cigars. In my case, my dad smoked cigars. So that smell resonates with me, right? And so we sat there and we talked about pipes and cigars for probably like 2 or 3 minutes. And then she said, well, have a good day. And I said, okay, you too. And then she headed off, right? So it was kind of cool, just like a little interaction that you can have with people. And in the pipe smoking world, you never know what you're going to get, because a lot of people see pipe smoking as being really bad for your health. They're going to get your secondhand smoke, even if you're outside in a park or something like that. And so you have to be careful. Now, I'm not saying that we have to bend to everybody's will and we have to, shut down our pipe smoking for all the Karens out there. But we do need to be respectful of the people around us. So anyway, it was just really, really cool to have somebody come up and say that it stirred up a memory for them. And that's what I like to do for people, is if I can stir up a good memory, or if I can, make your day just by smoking a pipe, that's really cool. That's something that's really, it's going to give you something, that cherished memory to think about for that day. So, yeah. What about you guys? You guys have any stories about people running into you when you're pipe smoking and they're either positive or negative? I haven't really had many negative, like altercations with people. They've all pretty much been positive, whether I'm driving down the road smoking my pipe and somebody comes up next to me and they're like, yeah, that's cool, or, I was in the line at work and there's these 2 lines and you have to show your ID to get into my work. And the guy next to me is one of my buddies who works in another department. And he looks over and he says, man, I'm jealous of your pipe. That's really cool. I wish I could pull that off. I said, you can pull that off. Just go buy one and start smoking it. Who's going to tell you no, right? But I think, a lot of people get intimidated by a new hobby. And of course, pipe smoking, it's kind of a challenging hobby to start initially. You kind of have to understand a little bit of the rules before going forward. So I'm getting off topic, but do any of you have any stories like that? This Captain Black's not bad. I'll probably do a review on it in the future. Oh, now we've got Pipe Smoking Quiz Book back out. So, question: what tobacco shows a judge on the tin? Answer in the next Chill With Me video. But the answer is right behind me if you take a close look. Well, until next time, cheers.